Enshrouded may have just dropped its biggest freaking update all year, alongside several huge updates earlier this year since it launched into early access, that really is absolutely going to just entirely screw up my plans for time over the next couple of months, because this game is really fun to play and there's so much shit to do. There's so many other things to cover. Pets are understandably taking the headlines of this update, but there's one giant feature that I think will really change the game for the better, so let's break it down. First, if you're unfamiliar with it, Enshrouded is a survival builder RPG with more emphasis on the RPG and less emphasis on the survival than most games. I put it this way because I'm actually not a huge builder or survival fan, but I found myself enjoying the building in Enshrouded because it was very accessible. I also found myself just enjoying the game because it plays a lot like an RPG and perhaps a little bit less like a survival game than you might think. There's a lot less friction in the game when it comes to survival elements. It's actually kind of tailor-made for, I guess, people like myself who prefer the RPG side of things. In many ways, it is a decent RPG with awesome building and the ability to co-op. From following a singular story as the Flameborn to completing quests, unlocking new gear, fun action-oriented combat that actually feels pretty good, gear progression, and so much more. I almost forget at times that it is still technically a shared world survival game, and not just a co-op RPG. You aren't really penalized for the usual hunger and thirst mechanics, but rather get benefits from cooking and eating food. You can build towering structures that defy physics, you can glide across the world, you can fight intense group-oriented bosses, and you can even make the difficulty insanely hard if you want to. Player mana 25%, stamina 25%. So yeah. Oh god, no!
Remember, you decided this.
Oh my gosh.
I make dumb choices.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Yeah, don't be dumb like me. Just use their settings, use their difficulty settings. And now you can even pet your pets.
Be tamed, roaming freely in your settlement. They don't provide resources, but will give you buffs when petted. And with 5 coats for dogs and cats, there's a good chance your pet in-game will look like your pets in real life.
And this big update, well, it changes almost everything. The reason the new update is called the Souls of the Frozen Frontier and isn't more aptly named the Cats and Rain update has to be because it includes a massive expansion to the world of Enshrouded with the Albanese Summits, a vast mountain biome that expands the north of Embervale through the Nomad Highlands and Kindle Wastes. It will be a new, even higher level area, which is great because the update will also be raising the game's level cap to 35. I'm a sucker for snowy areas, probably because I don't live in one, so this has me even more excited as icy lakes, snowstorms, and piling snow really gets me immersed, especially in winter. This actually brings with it an interesting survival mechanic as well, straight out of Valheim and other games. You'll need specialized armor, foods, and consumables to deal with freezing temperatures and high altitudes, or utilize torches and campfires for warmth. Something that will really be utilized with their new dynamic weather system. Dynamic weather is part of this update that I have been absolutely craving in this game. I've wanted this so badly because I think it does so much more than what it looks like at first blush. To bring a world together. Dynamic weather like snow and rain is coming to Enshrouded with this update, and I just can't wait. This is the first pass, so I'm expecting it to change and expand over time, but the update specifically mentions rainstorms and snowfall. And this is one of those things that I think as you're going through the world and something like this happens, so you're just out in the open and it starts to rain, it actually makes it feel like the world itself is more of a living place and less of a just a there kind of place. When it's always sunny, always happy, it doesn't feel as dynamic. It's interesting to see the same area in different types of weather. At least I think so. This might actually be the thing I'm most excited about in this update. But I think this next part is what most people are going to be excited about. New townsfolk, farm animals, and pets. If your towns in Enshrouded have been feeling a little empty, that's all about to change in a big way. The update brings with it farm animals, pets, and townsfolk. townsfolk, like the weather, I think are going to do a lot more for the world and make it feel more lively, all without draining your social battery, because they're NPCs. Although that would be an interesting survival mechanic, wouldn't it? No, don't put that in the game. Please don't put that shit in the game. Before this update, you mostly felt kind of isolated in the game. Yes, you had a couple quest NPCs, the crafter NPCs, but there wasn't really anything else beyond that. Now through quests, you'll be able to unlock more townsfolk for your city and bring them to your home, and they'll have their own routines. If you're playing with friends, you'll also be able to hire assistants that will be bringing full crafting functionality to the far-flung homestead you've made. Perhaps because your friends kicked you out of the main base because you may or may not have made a house that was teabagging their house. Totally on accident, of course. Not that I have any personal experience with that at all. But if you are not a people person, you'll get to tame new pets across Embervale. Yes, you will be able to tame them, which sounds exciting as hell, and I can't wait to see how this works out in practice, and also how it expands from here. You get to fill your home with all the cats and dogs you want, and you even get buffs from petting them. Lastly, that same skill can be used to tame and capture wildlife for farming. Animals can breed, and yes, you can also pet the baby animals. There's more to this update too. There are new visual updates, especially with how scenes render, more tone mapping and sky rendering, and just overall changes. New items, new armor and weapons, new quests. It's just a big freaking update. And this update is coupled with some of the prior ones that added things like instruments, which is really turning Enshrouded from a good game into potentially a great game. I can't recommend this survival RPG enough. I had a ton of fun when it launched, and I'll be jumping back in with this update specifically because they have addressed some of the issues I had when playing co-op with this and previous questing updates, which allow you to play with friends without forcing the world to advance because one friend does things super fast and you don't. Now it seems like you can even have full-fledged bases apart from each other if you want to. And also, while I have you here, please go vote in the Scuffed Game Awards. You can vote for Enshrouded if you like. You could vote for Nightingale. There is a category specifically for this type of game. You can also vote for your favorite RPGs, MMORPGs, and content creators. Please go nominate because those nominations close on November 7th and it's 100% fan voted, so it's your fault. I take no responsibility. If you want to know a bit more about Enshrouded and my first impressions of the game, I actually covered that on my MMORPG channel before this channel existed, which you can see in this video right here.